It's just past 9. We need to get this party started. How is everybody this evening? My name's Stuart Davis. I run the Flawed Man YouTube channel, and this is my live stream where we walk through the Bible. I am a deacon at a small church just outside of Richmond, Virginia, and I'm just here to give a reading through of the Bible in order with my thoughts and reactions on them. So welcome to this live stream. If you're here and it's your first time, please leave a comment, like the video if you do, but definitely give me your feedback. I'd love to hear it if you're watching it. If you end up watching it live, give me your comments as you come along. If I see any come through, then I will be sure to respond. And we are going to pick up today with this evening with the continuation of the story of Abraham, which will reach a conclusion very quickly into this stream. But it's going to be kind of a long one because when I was reading through how I wanted to parse this out, this one does not. This one needs to roll for a little while. So this will be a little bit longer stream, not as long as last night, I don't think. But we weren't doing the walkthrough last night. We were just talking about the church in general, giving my thoughts on that. So here we go. Let's do some screen sharing right now. But for that, let me do some channel sharing first, and go there. Make sure I put it up. Get some folks. Give myself a little bit more exposure. Had a little bit of hiccups yesterday. Doing this because number one, Facebook decided they wanted to cut my stream 5 minutes into the stream, where YouTube was still streaming it too. So that kind of messed up. That was a really good episode that I did. At least I felt very good about it, and I was really just kind of displeasing that Facebook did this. But I don't like Facebook. I don't like social media. I'm on it just to try to get this message out here. We do what we must, right? But yeah, so we had that interruption, and that kind of paused me, threw me off for a little bit. I kept going afterwards, and then later on, my father-in-law walked in because he didn't know that I was streaming, but he walked in to tell me the news of Brian Kelly leaving Notre Dame, because he knows I'm a big Notre Dame fan, and I wasn't pleased with that news, but I'd already knew it too. So that kind of threw me off, kind of distracted me a little bit, and we kept rolling. We kept rolling right through it, and that's kind of like and this is kind of off subject. I'm a big fan of video games. I like playing video games. My parents probably wish that I'd never been exposed to them, but it is one of the pastimes I have a great passion for, and I don't mind. One of the things I like to go back and play games that came out that I was interested in but never got to play. And one of the ones that is for free right now on Xbox Live with the Game Pass is the Dead Space series, and it's a horror. It's a horror series. It's definitely not for kids. If you're thinking about buying anything like that, always check the ratings. This is definitely a horror game. It's a horror game. It's not a horror game. It's a horror game where you play this engineer who gets caught up in this cataclysmic event involving alien zombie-like creatures, and it's happening on side of the spaceship, and it feels like literally the entire game really is you fixing one problem after another, trying to get to the end goal. Nothing seems to work, and I was thinking about that today. At some point, I was like, that's there is a little bit of what we as Christians kind of experience, where it just feels like sometimes nothing is going right, and you're like, man, when is this ever going to end? And I haven't gotten to the end of that series, and I beat the first game. I'm in the middle of the second game. Guess what? Same thing. Nothing's going right. So you just play through it. But you get a feeling of a sense of accomplishment as you solve each puzzle, as you complete each task and move forward. That's one of the great things. That's what defines a good video game, I think. When there's good story and there's good gameplay where it challenges you, challenges your brain. There's puzzles involved. figuring that stuff out. So, something to keep in mind maybe. If life is throwing punches at you, then take pride. It's never fun to go through, especially if you're dealing with something traumatic. It's never fun to go through something, but once you're past it, and if you were able to deal with it well, take some pride in that. Learn from it, but be content in yourself that you handled it well, and that you and God got through it together. We don't go through things on our own. Don't ever think you're alone in something. Either you got through it with God, or you got through it with God and your friends, got through it with God and with your family, or maybe got through it with God and strangers. Never know. But be happy. Be happy for what you accomplished, because what you accomplished, whether it was through divine providence or whatever, or just for the talents and wits that God gave you, or that your circumstances, fell your way because that's what God wanted to happen, right? Anyway, let's get into our readings for tonight. So, chapter 25 of Genesis. We are slowly but surely making our way through. The death of Abraham. I told you we'd get real close to that conclusion for Abraham when we started this. The death of Abraham. Abraham had taken another wife whose name was Keturah. I suppose Sarah Keturah. She bore him Zimran, Jokshan, Medan, Midian, Ishbak, and Shua. Okay, so we go from more Abraham and Sarah with the more traditional names for their kids like Isaac and Ishmael, or Ishmael and Isaac. And now we go to Keturah and all these other very odd names. So maybe it's a regional thing. Jokshan was the father of Sheba and Dedan. The descendants of Dedan were the Asherites, Letushites, and the Lumites. The sons of Midian were Ephah, Epher, Hanok, Abida, Elda. All these were descendants of Keturah. And I don't know if any of them are ever mentioned again. But apparently it was important enough to put them here. Abraham left, and okay, so now he's had all these kids. You know what? Man's getting busy. He has 2 kids with Sarah. He's with her for decades. He gets up with this lady and starts popping those out like crazy. Abraham left everything he owned to Isaac, but while he was still living, he gave gifts to the sons of his concubines and sent them away from his son Isaac to the land of the east. Okay, so Abraham doesn't just have Keturah; he's also got some concubines. So, okay, I guess he's retired. He's doing whatever the heck he wants. Abraham lived 175 years, and Abraham breathed his last and died at a good old age. Wonder if there was a woman with him when that happened. An old man and full of years, and he was gathered to his people. His sons Isaac and Ishmael buried him in the cave of Machpelah near Mamre in the fields of Ephron, the son of Zohar the Hittite, the field Abraham had bought from the Hittites. There Abraham was buried with his wife Sarah, who was probably sitting there waiting for him to say, "I know what you've been up to." And there we go. After Abraham's death, God blessed his son Isaac, who then lived near Beer Lahai Roy. Assuming I got that right. Ishmael's sons. Can't forget about Ishmael. This is the account of the family line of Abraham's son Ishmael, who Sarah's slave Hagar, the Egyptian, bore to Abraham. These are the names of the sons of Ishmael, listed in the order of their birth. Nebaioth, the firstborn of Ishmael, Kedar, Adbeel, Mibsam, Mishma, Duma, Massa, Hadad, Tema, Jetur, Napish, and Kedema. These were the sons of Ishmael, and these are the names of the 12 tribal rulers according to their settlements and camps. 12. It's good. Remember that number. Ishmael lived 137 years. He breathed his last and died, and he was gathered to his people. His descendants settled in the area from Havilah to Shur, near the eastern border of Egypt. And as you go toward Asher, they lived in hostility toward all the tribes related to them. So they didn't get along with each other, but this is stuff that has been prophesied before. And as we say, Ishmael and Isaac, they go to lead 2 very different lines of people. Isaac or Ishmael goes to his line ends up he becomes the descendant of or the ancestor to Islam, and Isaac becomes the ancestor to the Jewish faith. We'll get to them in a minute. Jacob and Esau. Now, here comes the meat. This is going to be the mess. This is why this is going to be a longer stream than normal, because this is the account for the most part. At least this side of the account is going to be what takes up the bulk of the time, and I think the rest of the time. This is the account of the family line of Abraham's son Isaac. Abraham became the father of Isaac, and Isaac was 40 years old when he married Rebekah, daughter of Bethuel the Aramean, from Padan Aram, and sister of Laban the Aramean. Isaac prayed to the Lord on behalf of his wife because she was childless. This happens a lot. This happens a lot in this life. The Lord answered his prayer, and his wife Rebekah became pregnant. The babies jostled each other within her, and she says, "Why is this happening to me?" So she went to inquire of the Lord. And the Lord said to her, "Two nations are in your womb, and two peoples from within you will be separated." I'm sorry, let me read that again. Two nations are in your womb, and two peoples from within you will be separated. One people will be stronger than the other, and the older will serve the younger. When the time came for her to give birth, there were two twin boys in her womb. The first to come out was red, and his whole body was like a hairy garment. So they named him Esau, which apparently means bear baby, or something like that, I guess. After this, his brother came out with his hand grasping Esau's heel, so he was named Jacob, which really means ankle biter, or something like that, I guess. Jacob was the first Yorkshire Terrier, maybe. Isaac was 60 years old when Rebekah gave birth to them. The boys grew up, and Esau became a skillful hunter, a man of the open country, while Jacob was content to stay at home among the tents. Isaac, who had a taste for wild game, loved Esau, but Rebekah loved Jacob. We already see the dichotomy coming here. Esau, clearly a man's man. He's skillful hunter, man of the country, man of the earth, and his dad, he likes the food that Esau hunts, and so he's the favored one, right? He's out there doing stuff. Jacob, on the other hand, staying home among the tents, and he is the favorite of his mom. So Jacob's kind of a mama's boy. Is what it is, right? Wonder what he's doing there. What is like the men are and this comes from Adam. You're going to toil in the fields and whatnot. Jacob's staying home among the tents. What is he cooking? It's just, it doesn't really get into what he's doing, but Esau's out there getting it done, putting the work in. Once, when Jacob was cooking some stew, there we go. Once, when Jacob was cooking some stew, Esau came in from the open country, famished. He said to Jacob, "Quick, let me have some of that red stew. I'm famished." That is why he was also called Edom. Jacob replied, "First, sell me your birthright." "Look, I am about to die," Esau said. What good is the birthright to me?" But Jacob said, "Swear to me first." So he swore an oath to him, selling his birthright to Jacob. And then Jacob gave Esau some bread and some lentil stew. He ate and drank and then got up and left. So Esau despised his birthright. Lots of stuff going on here that's like very dramatic, overly dramatic, melodramatic, histrionics, whatever you want to call it. Jacob's cooking some stew. So apparently Jacob's pretty much is cooking, and he's at least good enough that Esau's comes in wanting to eat some of that food. Comes in from the open country famous. Like, is he like literally on death's door? Maybe he went out and just ran out of provisions and came back. He says, "Quick, let me have some of that red stew. I'm famished." And Jacob replied, "First, sell me your birthright." Because remember, Esau is the firstborn, so he's going to get the lion's share of the inheritance. He is the heir to Isaac. Jacob goes, "Yeah, sell that to me." This is something that this is me. I am the older brother in my family, and my younger brother, I feel like this is something he would do. Just kidding. Love my brother to death. He's awesome, but yeah, In the rivalry that is me and my younger brother, I get to say, yeah, this sounds like something he would do. But he goes, yes, first tell me your birthday. Like, what are you doing? Your brother is hungry. He's literally dying of hunger. At least he's saying he is. And you're saying, yeah, I'll give you some food, but you need to give me, your inheritance, basically. And Esau said, well, if I'm die now, that's not going to help me. I need to eat. I need to live. So yeah, sure, whatever. Just give me the food. And Jacob said, swear to me first, drawing this out. Swore an oath to him. That's done. That deal is done. And Jacob seems kind of like an ass right now. And Esau, and maybe Esau's being overly dramatic. We don't know. We don't know. Esau's a man of the country, but maybe he can be a bit of a diva. I don't know. When he came in, and Jacob was like, man, whatever. Whatever happened, however this went down, it doesn't look like it went down in a way that should have been like legitimate. Like can you actually sell your birthright in that? I mean, that seems like seems like he's like extorted or something like that. You're really exploiting this. I don't see how this is a good, kindly way to treat your family, especially your brother. Like my dad always told me, nobody is more related to you than your brother or your sibling or whatever, because nobody has closer blood. You both come from the same parents, both have the same DNA. Nobody's going to share as much blood as your siblings, and for that's why you keep them close. Isaac and Abimelech. Now there was, and so apparently we don't go back to visit that, at least not immediately. Isaac and Abimelech. Now there was famine in the land beside the previous famine in Abraham's time, and Isaac went to Abimelech, king of the Philistines in Gerar. The Lord appeared to Isaac and said, do not go down to Egypt. Live in the land where I tell you to live, which he has done before. Stay in this land for a while, and I will be with you and bless you. For to you and your descendants I will give all these lands, and will confirm the oath I swore to your father Abraham. I will make your descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky, and will give them all these lands, and through your offspring all nations on the earth will be blessed, because Abraham obeyed me and did everything I required of him, keeping my commands, my decrees, and my instructions. So Isaac stayed in Gerar. So we have he wants, looks like Isaac is thinking about moving because there's a lot of famine going on. But before he is able to, God appears to him and said, look, don't leave. I brought Abraham here for a reason. This is where I want him to lead his people. I want you to stay here. And if you do, you will be greatly rewarded. I will bless you, which is always great to hear when it's coming from God, right? And so this is part of the reason why Abraham had Rebekah brought to Isaac, because he didn't want. I think he didn't want Isaac going out to find a wife back in his hometown, because maybe he would stay, and God wanted them to stay here. So he's making it very clear he wants them to stay in this area. And so Isaac stayed. Good on you, Isaac. I love seeing people who just do what God says, because this becomes. We have a lot of obedient people in the beginning. Now we don't Adam, excluding Adam, excluding Cain. But we have a lot of loyal and obedient people in the Bible earlier. Noah, Abraham, Isaac's here. It's always good. We're going to get later on, just giving you some foreshadowing. This is not going to be continue on as we go throughout Genesis and throughout the Old Testament. And the New Testament's its own is an animal all in and of itself. In that, from that angle. When the men of that place asked him about his wife, he said, "She is my sister." Because he's afraid to say, "She is my wife." Isaac, why are you doing this? Abraham did the same thing. Is this like a family prank? I don't know. She is my wife. He thought the men of this place might kill me on the account of Rebekah because she is beautiful. Why? It's great that you have a beautiful wife. Why do y'all keep doing this? When Isaac had been there a long time, Abimelech, king of the Philistines, looked down from a window and saw Isaac caressing his wife Rebekah. So Abimelech summoned Isaac and said, "She is really your wife. Why did you say she is my sister?" Isaac answered him, "Because I thought I might lose my life on account of her." Then Abimelech said, "What is this that you have done to us? One of the men might well have slept with your wife, and you have brought guilt upon us." So Abimelech gave orders to the people, "Anyone who harms this man or his wife shall surely be put to death." Abimelech's a smart man. And I feel like, if I remember, I think Abimelech, maybe it wasn't Abimelech. Who was the guy? Hang on. We had the Pharaoh. Pharaoh had this issue. Abraham did the same thing. And Abraham and Abimelech. Yeah, Abimelech. Yeah, it's Abimelech again. And Abimelech's probably sitting there going, "What on the world are you doing? Why is it that these people keep doing this?" Gosh. And Abimelech already knows what might happen because it already happened before. So he's got to create a new decree. Nobody harms this wife. I'll put you to death, which you should be doing that anyway. This is still the Old Testament. This is still very much eye for an eye. This is not turn the other cheek. Isaac planted crops in that land, and the same year reaped 100-fold because the Lord blessed him. A man became rich, and his wealth continued to grow until he became very wealthy. He had so many flocks and herds and servants that the Philistines envied him. So all the wells that his father's servants had dug in that time of his father, Abraham, the Philistines stopped up, filling them with earth. Thank you, Philistines. Thank you for being jerks, because this is what the Philistines tend to do. And then Abimelech said to Isaac, "Move away from us. You've become too powerful for us." So Isaac's doing pretty well for himself, as he will be, because he did what God wanted, and God said that he would do that. Just saying, be obedient, keep his covenants, which at the time were very, very small, very not a complex thing, right? Just do what God says and be righteous. Isaac was able to do that. What God should have said at some point was, "Stop telling people that your wife is your sister." It's weird. It's just weird. Inviting trouble. So Isaac moved away from there and encamped in the valley of Gerar, where he settled. Isaac reopened the wells that had been dug in the time of his father Abraham, which the Philistines had stopped up after Abraham died, and he gave them the same names his father had given him. Isaac's servants dug in a valley and discovered a well of fresh water there. But the herders of Gerar quarreled with those of Isaac and said, "The water is ours." So he named the well Issac, because they disputed with him. Issac apparently has that meaning. Then they dug another well, but they quarreled over that one also. So he named that Sitnah, which probably means a continuation of an argument, I guess. He moved on from there and dug another well, and no one quarreled over it. He named it Rehoboth, saying, "Now the Lord has given us room, and we will flourish in the land." From there he went up to Beersheba. That night the Lord appeared to him and said, "I am the God of your father Abraham. Do not be afraid, for I am with you. I will bless you and will increase the number of your descendants for the sake of my servant Abraham." Don't tell God, "I've heard this before already. Just listen," which apparently he does. Isaac built an altar there and called on the name of the Lord. There he pitched his tent, and there his servants dug a well. Meanwhile, Abimelech had come to him from Gerar with Ahuzeth, his personal advisor, and Phicol, the commander of his forces. Isaac asked him, "Why have you come to me, since you were hostile to me and sent me away?" They answered, "We saw clearly that the Lord was with you, so we said, there ought to be a sworn agreement between us and you. Let us make a treaty with you that you will do us no harm, just as we did not harm you, but always treated you well and sent you away peacefully, and now you are blessed by the Lord." Very true. I don't know. I think Isaac might have felt slighted by the fact that Abimelech sent him away, but it sounded like Abimelech, was just trying to keep the peace. And Abimelech's, again, we see lots of times Abimelech does, like, he's kind of a side character here, but he's always kind of running his little nation pretty wisely, right? He's keeping the peace, but he's not crossing God at all. And when he did so unknowingly because of Abraham telling everybody that Sarah was his sister, he quickly gets past it. He finds good ways to keep the peace between a, a family that God is very fond of, and his own people, who is he is responsible for. So Abimelech, good guy, seemed like a good guy. I don't know if it'll last that way, but so far so good. And now he wants to have a treaty. He wants to have a treaty because, hey, look, you're blessed by the Lord. We never really had a fight with you. You were just kind of outgrowing our area, so we needed you to go somewhere else. And let's have a treaty. Isaac then made a feast for them, and they ate and drank. Early the next morning, the men swore an oath to each other. Then Isaac sent them on their way, and they went away peacefully. That day, Isaac's servants came to and told him about the well they had dug. They had said, "We found water." He called it Sheba, and to this day, the name of the town has been Beersheba, which we found out earlier. Spoiler alert, even spoilers up here. He went up to Beersheba, and then they call it Beersheba. Whatever. Jacob takes Esau's blessing. What a Esau, or Jacob. Let's see how this plays out. I already know what happens, but, we're reading and responding, right? When Esau was 40 years old, he married Judith, daughter of Beeri the Hittite, and also Basemath, daughter of Elon the Hittite. It's not the prettiest name on the planet. Basemath, or Basemeth? Maybe it's Basemeth. Basemath. I hate trying to read these names. They were a source of grief to Isaac and Rebekah. Oh, okay. Esau got married to two women. Neither seemed to be on good terms with the mother and father-in-law. When Isaac was old and his eyes were so weak that he could no longer see, he called for Esau, his older son, and said to him, "My son." "Here I am," he answered. Isaac said, "I am now an old man and don't know the day of my death. Now then, get your equipment, your quiver and bow, and go out to the open country to hunt some wild game for me. Prepare for me the kind of tasty food I like and bring it to me to eat, so that I may give you my blessing before I die." That's pretty heavy, but hey, I'm dying. The end is upon me. But what I really want from you one last time before I kick the bucket is go out and get me some good venison, right? Bring it back, cook it up in a stew. Yes, give me some good meat to eat. Now Rebekah was listening as Isaac spoke to his son Esau. When Esau left for the open country to hunt game and bring it back, Rebekah said to her son Jacob, "Look, I overheard your father say to your brother Esau, 'Bring me some game and prepare me some tasty food to eat, so that I may give you my blessing in the presence of the Lord before I die.' Now, my son, listen carefully and do what I tell you. Go out to the flock and bring me 2 choice young goats, so I can prepare for some tasty food for your father, just the way he likes it. Then take it to your father to eat, so that he may give you his blessing before he dies." Jacob said to Rebekah his mother, "But my brother Esau is a hairy man, while I have smooth skin. What if my father touches me? It would appear to be tricking him and would bring down a curse on myself rather than a blessing." Full stop. This is my problem with this part of the story. All right, first off, Esau, and they don't say anything bad about Esau other than he doesn't have great taste in women, it seems like. But aside from that, he's out there working. He's making his dad happy. His dad still loves him very much. He seems to be the favorite still for his dad's eyes. Hey, and he's the firstborn. Traditionally, this is for him. Go do this for me before I die. So he sends him out. So Rebekah brings over her favorite and says, "Hey, go get some goats, and I'll cook up his favorite goat meal, I guess, and then he can give you his blessing." Which is pretty shady. Why are you doing this to your husband? You're supposed to be together. This is not the type of deceit that's supposed to be going on. I have a problem with this. I have a problem with Rebekah now. And Jacob's response is, instead of, "Oh, we shouldn't lie about this to my dad," right? We shouldn't lie about this to my dad. We should, he's out doing this thing for his dad, for our dad before he dies. Why would I do that? No, he goes, "Oh, he's not going to believe me when I do it because I'm not hairy. Like, I'm smooth skinned, and if I get caught, I'm going to get cursed. Not, I shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't do it so that I do have to worry about getting caught. This is awful. This seems awful. This is for a blessing. Look, he's already stolen his birthright. Now he's just trying to get a blessing out of him. Jeez. Terrible. His mother said to him, my son, let the curse fall on me. Just do what I say. Go and get them for me. Wish God had come in at this point and go, what are you doing? But apparently this is the way it's supposed to go down. So he went and got them and brought them to his mother, and she prepared some tasty food, just the way his father liked it. That is good for Rebecca. She knows what her man likes, cooks it well. My wife's a great cook. I love eating her food. If the one thing I want if I knew my death was upon me, I'd want some food from my wife. Then Rebekah took the best clothes of Esau, her older son, which she had in the house, and put them on her younger son Jacob. She also covered his hands and the smooth part of his neck with the goat skins. Then she handed her son Jacob the tasty food and the bread she had made. He went to his father and said, my father. Yes, my son, he answered. Who is it? Jacob said to his father, I am Esau, your firstborn. Of course, I've done as you've told me. Please sit up and eat some of my game, so that you may give me your blessing. Isaac said to his son, how did you find it so quickly, my son? The Lord your God gave me success, he replied. Why is this happening? Well, he's lying in the name of God. The Lord your God gave me success. I mean, I guess he's not saying the Lord your God gave me, no, the Lord God gave me success, which means I guess he's getting away with this farce he's putting on. But he comes in and he's like, he goes, knock, knock. Who is it? Oh, it's Esau, your firstborn. I just came back from hunting all the game. And now I'm here for my blessing. And apparently Isaac's at the age right now where he's not hearing very well, or maybe Jacob and Esau have very similar voices. I'm not sure. This is comedic, but also kind of cringy at the same time. And apparently Isaac is suspicious. Then Isaac said to Jacob, come near so I can touch you, my son, to know whether you really are my son Esau or not. Jacob went, so he's like, come here for a second. Isaac can't see very well, but he needs to feel him out. And he knows Esau's a hairy man. Esau the lumberjack. Esau the wild man. Jacob went to his father Isaac, who touched him and said, the voice is the voice of Jacob, but the hands are the hands of Esau. He did not recognize him, for his hands were hairy like those of his brother Esau, so he proceeded to bless him. Are you really my son Esau? He asked. I am, he replied. Then he said, my son, bring me some of your game to eat, so I may give you my blessing. And Jacob brought it to him, and he ate. Apparently he can't tell the difference between wild game and goat. And he brought some wine, and he drank. Then his father Isaac said to him, come here, my son, and kiss me. And then he went to him and kissed him. And when Isaac caught the smell of his clothes, he blessed him and said, the smell of my son is like the smell of a field that the Lord has blessed. May God give you heaven's dew and earth's richness, an abundance of grain and new wine. May nations serve you and peoples bow down to you. Be Lord over your brothers, and the sons of your mother bow down to you. May those who curse you be cursed, and those who bless you be blessed. And after Isaac finished blessing him, Jacob had scarcely left his father's presence. His brother Esau came in from hunting. He too prepared some tasty food and brought it to his father. And then he said to him, my father, please sit up and eat some of my game, so that you may give me your blessing. His father Isaac asked him, who are you? I am your son, he answered, your firstborn Esau. Isaac trembled violently and said, who was it then that hunted game and brought it to me? I ate it just before you came, and I blessed him, and indeed he will be blessed. When Esau heard his father's words, he burst out with a loud and bitter cry and said to his father, bless me too, my father. But he said, your brother came deceitfully and took your blessing. Not good, Jacob. I'm not a big fan of Jacob right now. I'm not gonna try to mince words here. Jacob is a huge jerk here. Esau said, isn't he rightly named Jacob? This is the second time he has taken advantage of me. He took my birthright, which, now, I will say, you did give up quickly because you were hungry. He took my birthright, and now he's taken my blessing. Then he asked, haven't you reserved any blessings for me? Isaac answered Esau, I have made him lord over you, and have made all of his relatives his servants, and I have sustained him with grain and new wine. So what could I possibly do for you, my son? Esau said to his father, do you have only one blessing, my father? Bless me too, my father. Then Esau wept aloud. His father Isaac answered him, your dwelling will be away from the earth's richness, away from the dew of heaven above. You will live by the sword, and you will serve your brother. But when you grow restless, you will throw his yoke off of your neck, from off of your neck. Esau held a grudge against Jacob. You don't say. Because of the blessings his father had given him, he said to himself, days of mourning for my father are near. Then I will kill my brother Jacob. So apparently blessings have the no take back clause on them, because Isaac and Esau both know what went down, and Isaac had this power that I guess God was going to honor what he said, but again, must be a no take backs clause, because he couldn't have said, you know what, forget what I said to Jacob. That's what I mean for Esau. I wonder if this is my problem. I don't ever understand how this goes on. Hold on. I never understand why this goes down. Because Jacob just does not seem like the type of righteous man that Isaac is, that Abraham is, that Noah is. He just doesn't come across this way. And he doesn't seem like some other folks that are actually his kids that I am a big fan of. But he just doesn't come across this way. Esau seems more like this. Esau seems like the man's man who's out there doing what he needs to do. Jacob's sitting at home cooking. Look, number one, we already know God loves well-cooked meals. He likes burnt offerings. He likes burnt offerings of tasty animals, and so maybe Jacob's just a really good cook, and also Esau has married 2 Hittite women, and neither of them are pleasing to his parents. So maybe that's part of the reason. Because what we see, Abraham got a woman, got Rebekah from his people, and specifically because of this. And so maybe that says something. They don't really hash it out. At least this is the one that this is the reaction I'm struggling with, and this is what hopefully I can get some answers on this. But so maybe that's what's going on. But whatever happened, Esau's pissed, rightfully so. He is pissed. He's mad as a hornet over there, and now he's like, when my dad dies, his ass is grass. You're a dead man. You're dead meat, Jacob. When Rebekah was told that her older son Esau had said, she sent for her younger son Jacob and said to him, your brother Esau is planning to avenge himself by killing you. Now then, my son, do what I say. Flee at once to my brother Laban in Haran. Stay with him for a while until your brother's fury subsides. Good luck. When your brother is no longer angry with you and forgets what you did to him, yeah, I'll send word for you to come back from there. Why should I lose both of you in one day? Then Rebekah said to Isaac, I'm disgusted with living because of these Hittite women. If Jacob takes a wife from among the women of this land, from Hittite women like these, my life will not be worth living. So apparently Esau's women are hags of misery, and it is driving Rebekah insane. And maybe this is what drove Rebekah to do all these things with the blessing and everything, because Esau marrying these 2 Hittite women has really ticked her off. And Jacob's her favorite. So Isaac called for Jacob and blessed him, and he commanded him, do not marry a Canaanite woman. Go at once to Paddan Aram, to the house of your mother's father Bethuel. Take a wife for yourself there from among the daughters of Laban, your mother's brother. May God Almighty bless you and make you fruitful and increase your numbers until you become a community of peoples. Isaac has no idea how right he is. Until you become a community of peoples. May he give you and your descendants the blessing given to Abraham, so that you may take possession of the land where you now reside as a foreigner, the land God gave to Abraham. Then Isaac sent Jacob on his way, and he went to Padan Aram to Laban, son of Bethuel the Aramean, the brother of Rebekah, who was the mother of Jacob and Esau. So derivative. Now Esau learned that Isaac had blessed Jacob, and had sent him to Padan Aram to take his wife from there. And then when he blessed him, he commanded him, "Do not marry a Canaanite woman." And that Jacob had obeyed his father and mother and gone to the Padan Aram. Esau then realized how displeasing the Canaanite women were to his father Isaac, and probably to God. So he went to Ishmael and married Mahalath, I think I got that right, the sister of Nebaioth, and the daughter of Ishmael, son of Abraham, in addition to the wives he already had. So let me make this better, right? And I'm not going to cast these Hittite women aside, but I am going to get another wife who is part of a blessed line, because Ishmael's family line is blessed. Jacob's dream at Bethel. Jacob left Beersheba and set out for Haran. When he reached a certain place, he stopped for the night because the sun had set. Taking one of the stones there, he put it under his head and lay down to sleep. He had a dream in which he saw a stairway resting on the earth, with its top reaching to heaven, and the angels of God were ascending and descending on it. There above it, I guess it's leg day. It's leg day in heaven right now. There above it stood the Lord, and he said, "I am the Lord, the God of your father Abraham, and the God of Isaac. I will give you and your descendants the land on which you are lying. Your descendants will be like the dust of the earth, and you will spread out to the west and to the east, to the north and to the south. All peoples on earth will be blessed through you and your offspring." All peoples on earth. This is important foreshadowing for the New Testament. All peoples on earth will be blessed through you and your offspring. I'm just realizing the weight of that right now, because it's easy to read past this and not realize. And all peoples of earth will be blessed through you and your offspring. Not every. So that does not mean just people of Jewish faith. That does not mean people of Ishmael's line. All peoples. I am with you and will watch over you wherever you go, and I will bring you back to this land. I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised you. When Jacob awoke from his sleep, he thought, "Surely the Lord is in this place, and I was not aware of it." He was afraid and said, "How awesome is this place! This is none other than the house of God. This is the gate of heaven." Early the next morning, Jacob took the stone he had placed under his head and set it up as a pillar and poured oil on top of it. He called that place Bethel, though the city used to be called Luz. Then Jacob made a vow, saying, "If God will be with me and will watch over me on this journey I am taking, and will give me food to eat and clothes to wear, so that I return safely to my father's household, then the Lord will be my God, and the stone that I have set up as a pillar will be God's house. And of all that you give me, I will give you a tenth." This is the first time that Jacob's actually, he's getting a lot. Jacob's getting a lot. He's always about getting things. But here he said he's being given something very special. Very special. And he's very thankful for it. Well, good for you, Jacob, because that's one thing for me not to hold against you. Then Jacob continued on his journey, and I think, that's as far as we're going to go. That's as far as we're going to go. Maybe we could have not covered 28, I guess. But I think it was important that we went through this whole conflict between Esau and Jacob, and we needed to finish the chapter for that. But there you have it. So we're lying here. Jacob doesn't seem like a great guy. At least that's my interpretation. I'm trying to figure out, because Jacob is an incredibly blessed man throughout his life, and through Jacob's line is the rest of Genesis, really. But he does not give me. He does not seem like the pillar of righteousness that I get from the other folks, and that's a little unsettling, but and not just that, because of what's going to continue to happen to Jacob. Maybe my mind will change, but right now, reading through it and reading about Jacob does not strike me as a guy who is decent. But many people, many of us, and maybe you could say most of us, start off being selfish, buttholes, um, and not doing what God loves, and yet we are continuing to be blessed. I have been a incredibly rude person, sarcastic person, mean person at times, not deserving. And many times when I reflect on my life, I do not feel like I have been worthy of the blessings that I've gotten in my life. And I'm not, I'm not like a wealthy person or anything, but I have the things that I love, that I'm surrounded by people that I love. And that to me is such an invaluable thing. I don't feel worthy of it at times. I don't feel worthy of it because a lot of times, like I feel like in deep down I've got a great heart, but at the other time, many times my actions don't belie that. Like I said, I've been incredibly harsh to people at times, and I don't know. I mean, and maybe this is what I should be getting out of that. That Jacob's kind of that's in that same boat, but he's also being blessed at the same time. Maybe I should be taking this as a maybe I should be taking this that sometimes we get way more than we deserve. And you could say, well, all of us, because all of us have our sins, and we are not perfect, that none of us are deserving of blessings. You can read through who we've read through with Noah and the rest, that there are folks that really, if anybody's earned anything, they have. And I don't feel like I would never put myself up on that. On their level, but I feel like I'm not even on a level where I deserve all the things that I have. So there it is. God is willing to give blessings to people even though they can not be the best or the most agreeable folks, or sometimes take advantage of their brothers multiple occasions, lie to their fathers, lie for blessings, do underhanded dirty tricks, kind of committing fraud here, but he's still getting blessed, and maybe there's some guilt on that. Maybe there's some guilt weighing on Jacob, and God sees that on him. So that's where we'll end it tonight, and we're running at 47 minutes, so we're close to what I did last night. And on that note, I will close at this point. So you guys enjoy the rest of your evening. I hope you've gotten a lot out of this. Like I said, leave comments. Join the chat. Join a chat. Get me some ability to kind of interact with you, and that will be great. In the meantime, y'all enjoy y'all's evening. Have a good day tomorrow.